The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And a Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 597, Mr. Somich.
Official Saratoga opening day. Huzzah! Well, yesterday was, but it's opening weekend, right?
Apologies, my internet keeps cutting out. I'm not sure what's happening with that, why that keeps occurring. Hopefully we can get that figured out. But Saratoga opened yesterday. Automatically, nobody hits the pick six. The pick five pays 43 grand. Pick six, I saw that the dollar pick six paid $5 grand and change to 506, and I went, how the hell? And the first few races, 4 races, you're like, okay, some prices, but nothing crazy. Race, and I was like, if you got through the first 4 legs, I beat some favorites. I've beaten Pratt on Chad Brown a couple of times. I'm doing great. And then the last 2 races happened, and it was just take a handful of darts and throw them as hard as you can at the wall.
I mean, the last race, I liked the 2-horse who ends up running third in that race. I had no chance to get to the winner there. The race before it, the same thing. It's just all right, okay. If you got there, congratulations. 43K, I thought was a fair price to pay out on the late pick 5. We had 2 favorites that lost their riders early at Saratoga. We had a gate scratch of the favorite and right before it. So it was just a wonky sequence in general. But look, I get it. And of course, the rains come right after the first day. So we're off the turf today for the majority of it. And again, I posted on Twitter, I'm like, would you rather have synthetic racing there? Again, hey guys, this is not something that is not going to get talked about. And people are like, no, I'd rather we run on dirt. Cool. Then don't complain about being scratched off the turf because look, this is one of those things. First weekend at Saratoga, they're in turf preservation mode, turf management, right? It's like game management in the NBA. The first weekend at Saratoga is a turf management weekend. If this was weekend 5, guess what? They'd be on the turf today. But because it's weekend 1 and they don't want to rip the thing up, they're going to be much more chill about running on the turf course. And we'll get more turf races as it goes along, assuming the weather cooperates, which it's Saratoga. You never know. So excited to see what happens, how it plays out. But this is a fun Saturday card. We will be on the turf tomorrow. It's good today. The track is fast. They could have run on the turf today if they wanted to. The late pick 5, I assume, will be on the turf, especially the 2 stakes races tomorrow. Supposed to get possibly a shower after the races again today, but doesn't look like we're going to get dumped on at any point.
When you've got a grade 1 race on opening Saturday that's supposed to be on the turf, and there are legitimate many grade 1 level horses in that race, you go, we need to take it easy. The fact, Mike, that they even have the Coronation Cup still scheduled to be on the turf on Friday, to me is a good sign that they'll be okay for turf. Because you're right, it's all about turf management. And no offense to the horses in the grade 3 Coronation Cup today that are sprinting on the grass. Y'all don't matter. Y'all don't mean shit compared to the grade 1 Diana on a Saturday. And if they thought there's any danger to that turf course, they would have taken it right off the turf.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, both of the graded stakes tomorrow are over the inner turf. And so that's the one concern where it's okay, are we going to use the inner turf at all outside of that? The other 2 stakes or the other 2 races on the late pick 5 are both outer turf. So at least you are mixing up the turf courses here because that is the nice part about Saratoga. You've got 2 turf courses. You can put the rails out. There are other ways that you can try and kind of manage the turf course. We also may see them run on the turf tomorrow, then be off on Sunday to give it a couple days before you have to go back there. So a lot of different things that Saratoga can do can try and control the situation as much as possible.
But you talked about it. The pick 5, the late pick 5 Saturday, races 8 through 12. There's 2 graded stakes, but 4 of the 5 are scheduled for the different turf courses. Now, the 2, as you mentioned, the 2 graded stakes races, the inner turf course, and then an Allowance and Maiden special weight, both very competitive events. Those will be scheduled for the outer turf course. So really trying to preserve everything there, and hopefully we'll have some really good racing happening as well. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to what. Is this microphone better now?
No, it's
my normal mic isn't doing.
No, that's worse. Switch back.
Okay.
Yeah. Got fun microphone issues here. Magic's internet, the microphone. It's a Magic Mike Show. Technical difficulties. What do you expect?
My first day back, everything was great. Now we're back to normal. All right. Before we get into things, I do want to. What did I just do with it? Special shout out, and this is to you, but a huge shout out to Geist Paddle for our good friend for sending this. I felt guilty a little bit because I was really mean to him during the annual fantasy league draft discussion that I have to kick things off about the competitors. he sent me this, and it means the world to me. So check this out. This is
Oh yeah.
a game worn, a race used Tis the Magician's saddle towel from when he went to Belmont Park for the Grade 2 Brooklyn and finished second. Completely blew the brake, had all the excuses in the world to not even fire, and he finished second to the ultra impressive next. So he told me he was sending me a coffee cup because the coffee cup he'd sent me before it broke, and I got this, and I said, "Listen, it's a little dirty, but I don't think this is a coffee cup that I want to wash because it's got all of that Belmont dirt, the old Belmont dirt now. This isn't even the same Belmont dirt anymore." So, huge shout out to Geis. Thank you, Mike, for helping him coordinate that. Really appreciate this. I need to talk to you off air about getting the right kind of frame set up because I know you've got a couple of these that we've seen in past Magic Mike shows.
Yeah, shout out to Geis, man. Awesome. I really appreciate him hooking you up there. I mean, you were texting both of us about this. It was an auction for charity up on My Racehorse, which you're rocking the hat there as well. And you bowed out at 200. You might have been bidding him up so he could buy it for you. We'll never know. But he ended up going through the auction, getting it for you. So awesome props to him for doing that. I know it made your day to get that because I know how much you love your boy Tis a Magician. So just a phenomenal gesture there from him. And yeah, the framing is going to cost you more than the auction win did him. I'll just put it that way. So maybe that ends up being the baby blanket for the next couple years.
It's pink.
Yeah,
Chloe could like a pink. Yeah. Speaking of Chloe and horse racing, I know Chloe's racing the Coronation Cup. Off of just being a good dad, I have to play her there. I don't know if she wins. What do you think of it? The Coronation Cup's later today, so the people watching live, do you think she wins race 7?
I think she's got a shot. We saw speed be really good when this turf course was fast. I'm very interested to see now with a little bit of water in it if that gives the opportunity if horses come from off the pace. I like the 6 a little bit more. No idea how to pronounce this horse.
The closer for Cassie.
Well, it's mid-pack for Cassie, but it's a not this time horse. And we've seen them do well on the boggier turf courses in America as well. So I think that sets up well. And again, the 1 Make Haste and the 3 Chloe are absolutely going to go. I don't see a clear leader. I don't think there's a speed of the speed, and that makes me want to take kind of a horse in the next flight, which leads me to the 6, who's 7-2 on the morning line.
Well, we're focusing on Saturday, July 12th, the late pick 5. If you're playing Friday's pick 6 with that massive $118,000 carryover, best of luck to you. Also, forgot to mention this. Sorry to keep wasting time before we get into the show. Did you hear the news, Mike Somich, that every Friday for the foreseeable future, Saratoga, every single race on the card you can watch now on FanDuel TV?
I did see that news. I hate the fact that like we have certain stations hoarding specific tracks, right? Just let everybody show the races. It's good for everybody. Like just make it easy for people to watch horse racing. I realize all these ADWs believe that they have, that they want to be able to show it so they can get people to push to theirs. I don't know. I'd love your take on this too. Actually, I don't want your take on this because you probably wouldn't be able to answer the question. I don't know anyone who switches ADWs. Pretty much everyone uses the ADW they originally used. Like there's not this whole jumping around. So if you're watching on FX1 or FS1, but you are a FanDuel guy, you're probably still betting on FanDuel, right? If you're an Express Bet player, you're probably still betting on Express Bet. You're not switching to Naira Bets just because it's on FS1. So I'd rather just have the races be more readily available.
As much as I would love to have every single gambler in the world part of FanDuel, no, I would completely agree with you. When I first got into it and was starting to get serious about betting horses, I signed up for every app, every ADW that I could, because they all have that new member bonus. And then after the new member bonus ran out in every ADW, I was left with which one do I like the best? And at the time, it was TVG. So I was TVG FanDuel since 2016. Yeah, it's been 9 years, and there might be like a specific promo. I shouldn't say this as a FanDuel employee, but taking that hat off for a second, if I'm being completely honest, there might be a specific promo that Twin Spires runs for the Derby or that Naira Bets runs for the Belmont as examples. I'll put money into an account I haven't used in 3 years or in a year just for that promo, but it doesn't do enough to make me stay with them because I'm so much in my lane of the one specific ADW that the other two, you got a promo, great, I'll take advantage of that and then go back to what I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean, I use the one that'll give me the best rebates at the time. So I have different ADWs who fight for my rebate business, and if someone's willing to outbid somebody else and be the new higher player, I'll put my money through that specific one because if you're not getting rebates and you're betting horse racing, Make sure you check that out. I do have a favorite one, which is like Express Bets, gives me the best rebates consistently. So they are the one I use the most from a day-to-day perspective. And then for me, it's tournaments, right? Like
Yeah.
I never use Twin Spires. They have a good tournament series. I've used them. I use Express Bet because I love Express Bet's tournaments. I use Naira. I'm starting to use because they have these Saturday, Sunday tournaments. Since last Saturday, they had a $300 tournament with a BCBC seat free added. Like that's going to get me to play those type of places. And so that's what really drives my ADW business is the tournament side. And of course the rebates when I'm betting on a daily basis.
And just now my internet took a shit again. Let's see if I can get us into a break and figure this out. The Magic Mike Show, Saratoga, late pick 5, Saturday, July 12th. Rise up. All right, Mike, let's get into the late pick 5 of Saratoga, Saturday, July 12th, race 8. And we're kicking things off with a bang. It's the grade 2 Bowling Green Stakes, amount 3. It's on the inner turf course. There's 3 MTOs. We'll forget about them and just focus on the 8 horses meant for the turf course. All eyes will be on the 7 Far Bridge, the heavy 6-5 morning line. Neither of us are not. It's not even that we don't have him in the top play. We've completely both chucked him off.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. To Rosario or not to Rosario, right? Because from a numbers perspective, Farbridge, I think should be the favorite. 6-5, I think is too short. So this is twofold for me. First off, look, if Farbridge went off at 2-1, I think that is more fair odds than the 6-5 price against the rest of this field because, yeah, he's been running against better. Yes, he's a very consistent horse, but the numbers don't blow this field out of the water. And so you don't have that delta from 1 to 2 that you're normally going to see when you see a horse at 6-5 on the morning line. The second part of this is Joel Rosario is absolutely burning money right now as a jockey. Like we've been talking about this. I think we've been on this for 3.5, 4 years. I'm saying we were the first ones, if not one of the earliest, to start being like, hey, what is he doing? This is just one of those horses where I cannot as a favorite. Like if Joel's 10-1, fine, I'll take a shot, right? But at 6-5, on a horse that's not dominant over the rest of the field, I have huge concerns. And I also am worried, like, what type of, like, the one thing I will say for him on Far Bridge, the rides haven't been bad, right? They've consistently been reasonable rides, getting the horse in the middle of the pack, not dropping all the way back. So we'll see what we get here. But again, at the price, I can't use Joel Rosario at 6-5 unless I think the horse is an absolute standout and I'm singling, and I'm not singling Farbridge in this case because I don't think it's an absolute standout, and I don't like the jock at all. So I'm going to go in other directions. And top pick for me is going to be the number 2 horse, El Resin, who's 8-1 on the morning line. Todd Pletcher, Dylan Davis. Like this one quite a bit. This is one of those horses where it feels like we have not seen the best from this horse. If you go back to last year, the 3-year-old campaign, breaks the maiden, comes back and wins in a nice step forward here at Saratoga. Both of those wins on the inner turf, both of those with Dylan Davis up. Guess who's back aboard? Dylan Davis jumps up into the Jockey Club Derby Invitational, grade 3 race, and I thought ran really well against Carson's Run and Deterministic that day. Jumps back into the N2X level at Keeneland in a really tough mile in a 16th race, which, let's just be honest, probably too short for this horse, right? It feels like that was a stepping stone into the later part of the season, a prep race to get ready for Saratoga. Well, guess what? Here's Saratoga, a course we know this horse loves, a price that I absolutely love at 8-1, back with the jockey that's got you to the winner's circle twice. This feels like one of those situations where you're going to see an improving 4-year-old get back to the track that he wants to be running at, and I think you're going to see a big race from El Resin, so love him at 8-1.
Same exact top pick in here. And how about the breeding? The exact same breeding as Far Bridge. Like English Channel is the sire, Kitten's Joy the dam sire, turf, long distance. Like that, it's great to see both of them doing well with that. But I'm with you. Same exact top pick in here. We agree. We each went 3 deep. We agreed on 2 of the 3 horses. Let's talk about the other one because it was my second pick, and that's the number 6 Harrow. And normally I'm like, it's Safi and against, Safi at Gulfstream, that's his playground, especially in the summertime. Safi at Saratoga, Safi in graded stakes races on the turf. But look at this horse specifically. Has had a really strong, just consistent campaign. It's not that he was beating up on junk horses at Gulfstream. He won at Kentucky Downs when we know that everybody's, sending good horses to Kentucky Downs for that funky setup. Almost wins at Churchill, wins at Tampa Bay Downs. I know it's a step down. Delaware Park last stop, a mile and a half. This horse was in with a little bit of a layoff after shipping down to Barbados and winning a stakes race there for Safi. He's from Barbados. If you wonder why that's in the past performances, that's where he started his training career. So he always sends horses down there if he can. Second being 3/4 of a length at Delaware Park, that was fine. It was $200,000 stakes race. Would I use vote no in this race? Probably not. But when Todd Pletcher has two horses, or he's got the 4-horse in here, Tucson, he's got the 2 in here, and Irad was on both of those horses last time out, and Irad says, I'm going to go to Harrow. Like, that was a lot of signs to me that, like, this horse is sitting on something. And Safi, okay, he's 0 for 3 on opening day, but he had a second and 2/3.
Yeah, the fact that Irad's on this horse kind of tips the hand that they think this is going to be a runner in this spot, because it feels like he has other places he could be, right? And like you said, you mentioned both Pletchers; those both make sense. There are just other spots that he could have landed here, and the fact that he lands on Harrow, a horse that, if you want to talk about the Safi magic here, was claimed for $16,000.
This is Mike Maker 2.0, what he's doing right there. Like that's what Mike Maker would do, but with a horse that made sense.
Yeah, this one didn't make much sense. I mean, claimed for $16,000 over the Tampa turf course, runs back at Kentucky Downs, immediately wins back with Pratt aboard, comes back, runs in a tougher race at Churchill Downs, runs third, then wins at Tampa, then runs well at Gulfstream, but can't win the grade 3 Kent night there. Look, if this wasn't Irad, I'm probably not using this horse. But there's clearly still upside. Second back in the U.S., second off the layoff. You get Irad aboard. The price is right at 8-1 to me. And I like the fact that this is a horse that has that mid-pack stalking style trip that you can get as well. Not going to be way out of it. Going to be kind of sitting closer to the pace. So I like Harrow quite a bit here at 6-1. It feels like a horse that you can try and fade Farbridge with.
So we disagreed on the third horse, but that's okay. You ended up using the other Pletcher at Hero. I find intriguing, though. I couldn't figure out what went wrong in the Manhattan, and love your takes on the 4 Tucson.
Yeah, look, I think we both came up with the same idea here. Who's going to make the lead, right? And you're going with the 8 Corruption. I'm going with the 4 Tucson. And it's really that simple. I think what happened in the Grade 1 Manhattan is he just went a little too fast over a Saratoga turf course that it just didn't go right for him, right? Like, it was a 1 1/8. I think he wants to go a little bit longer than that. If you look at the previous race at the 1.5 mile distance, you saw a 49.5. That's what he was able to win off of. I think you're going to get a little bit slower of a first half here. And look, that was the first time trying graded stakes, right? So to me, there's other reasons why you can say, yeah, it's okay. Just didn't run as well as you would have liked. Also, never really got any chance to save some ground, was wide on the first turn, didn't make the lead, didn't seem that comfortable in that race. The fact that we're not just like dropping down to Allowance company or trying to take on a much lesser company, to me tells you that they still believe Tucson is a horse that can run well. I talked about this horse in that Grade 1 Manhattan. I love Cozine Influence. Cozine on the bottom side, Constitution on the top. This is a horse that is bred to love the turf and run all day. I'm willing to just say, hey, look, it's too bad to believe in a way, right? Like, the race just didn't go well for the horse. You're not going to, when you see that bad of an effort, and then they come right back into a stakes race, it tells you that they don't know really what went wrong either, but they still believe in the talent for the number 4 Tucson. To me, this is your speed of the speed. I think that the addition of Saez is actually an interesting one here, because Saez is going to get this horse in front. He's going to send. And the 3-turn turf races on Saratoga's turf, you see horses steal those. You just because you just have this inside speed that we've seen the dominant in the turf sprints when you get to the inside rail. What we've seen from that, this turns into a turf sprint a lot of times because you've got this slow pace, this 49, this 50, 51 pace. If that's Tucson and he's the one in front, which I do think he will be with Saez, I think he's dangerous at 15-1. So happy to take that price.
Yeah, you look at the other horses around him, the 1, 2, 3, no early speed. Nobody's gone in for the lead. And that's that. The only way Tawny Port, the 3-horse, guns to the lead is if, like, the 4 falls over or Flavian Pratt's got a bug up his ass or something. Like, that's the only way that horse goes to the lead. The 5, I know he tried to wire the Colonial Cup at Colonial Downs, but that was a 4-horse field. So don't look at Web Slinger for that. The 6, no speed. The 7, usually better stalking.
It's Rosario. There's no chance the 7 makes the lead.
The first time Rosario rode him, he made the lead, but it was a 5-horse field. going a mile and a half, and he was towards the inside.
And they went 50-4, 117-1. Like,
yeah, this sounds like middle lead. So I think it's the 4 leading, and I think it's the 8 sitting just off of him, the 8 corruption. And so that's the third horse I went with. I was back and forth between the 4 and the 8. I looked at the 8 and thought there's a little bit more upside. We saw the horse Wire Horse a field at Churchill Downs 2 races back. Almost did it in the Grade 3 Pan American with a neck behind Far Bridge. Prior to that, won 3 straight races. So I put him on. I think he's going to have the right trip to sit just off of the 4, play the break. Assuming Saez goes, you follow right behind him or alongside him there. If for whatever reason the 4 doesn't fire, maybe he stumbles out of the gate or something, I think the 8's in the right spot on the outside of him to be able to play the break. So whatever happens with the 4, you play off of that. You got a Hall of Fame jockey in Castellano. They're both trying to make amends for what happened in the Grade 1 Manhattan. And I think we're going to get good prices on. I know yours is a lot better, 15-1 versus 5-1. But yeah, I think the 5-1 slips up a bit on that horse too.
Yeah, look, I think 5-1 is probably a fair price on corruption. If you look at corruption and you look at Tucson, like clearly corruption is the more like classy horse of the 2, right? You've seen that effort, the Grade 3 Pan American, where he's gotten to second place. So you can make an argument that he's just got a little more in him. The outside post, I do think, is a benefit because Castellano can decide what he wants to do here. And there really are only 2 horses that have any speed. And that means that you're at worst going to be too wide into that first turn. It just feels like he's got to back off. Like I would almost rather let Tucson go if I'm corruption and just sit a length and a half back on the rail and save ground every single turn and then just try and run him down and just say, hey, I'm going to make this a 2-horse race. I'm running first or second. And we're just going to let them crawl up front, and we'll see what happens. If that's the case, I kind of like our 4 and 8, and we'll see which one's better in the end, right? But I don't hate the use here. I have corruption as a horse that I would include if I'm going to spend a little bit more money, and I'm never including Farbridge, so I'm going to try and beat Farbridge here. I will say this too: like if I'm playing tries or supers, don't take this as I'm not using Farbridge if I'm playing a super. I'm probably using Farbridge in the 3rd spot, in the 2nd spot, in the 4th spot. I just have no interest at 7-5 to put this horse on top. And that, to me, this is one of those races where there's a difference if you're playing multi-race wagers versus if you are playing a single race wager, where I think it's highly unlikely Farbridge doesn't hit the super. I think it's highly unlikely Farbridge wins this race over 50% of the time, which he needs to do to make him profitable for you playing pick 5s.
I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to the second leg of the late pick 5 Saturday, July 12th at Saratoga, race number 9. This will be on the outer turf. It's a mile and 8 allowance event, and 12 runners plus 4 MTOs. So we'll ignore them for a bit here. This is an interesting situation. We have a coupled entry, the 1 and 1A. They draw the races regardless of if they're coupled entries. Like each horse gets to sign their own post, right? Somehow, the 2 Chad Brown horses that are coupled entry drew 11 and 12, and they're the 5-2 morning line. So a lot of question marks around horses that don't jump out at you on page with the buyer speed figures. In fact, I'd say if you didn't have Chad Brown training them, you might be looking at 15-1 more than 5-2. Who's your top play?
Well, here's the other part of it. What are their odds if they're not an entry? Who would be the favorite, right? A debt limit probably going to be your favorite of the 2 of them.
Right.
Coming off a win at Backwooduck. But he's probably, 4-1, 7-2? Yeah. And Move to Gold, who's coming off a long layoff, just finished 3rd in the Grade 3 Manila previous race to neat and deterministic, probably 6-1, 7-1. Yeah. But because they're a coupled entry, they're 5-2. They're both Chad Browns. They both have a chance to win. They're going to be heavily overused in the pick 5 because you get 2. And that's why I'm not going to use them. It's again, like, especially look, we're going to talk about a pretty heavy favorite a little bit later in the card. If you like She Feels Pretty, if you're singling She Feels Pretty, feels like you have to try and beat the favorites in these first 2 races to make this thing pay. I'm going to try and beat the favorites in these first 2 races to try and make this thing pay, because it just, look, again, if they were decoupled, I am more likely to use one than the other, but the fact that they are coupled and the price and the way this is all going to go, specifically in the pick X pools where everyone's going to use the 1, I am not going to try and get around it. Top pick for me, the number 3, Taraj here for Bilmont Junior Alvarado, coming in from Europe, where I thought this horse ran very well. Ran in back-to-back Group 3 races over there, ran 3rd in one of them. Came back in a tougher Group 3 race, the big field of 12 that day, ended up running 10th, 9 lengths back. but did improve quite a bit in that 2-year-old to 3-year-old jump. And now we've got the 3 to 4-year-old jump, first time in the U.S. for a horse that, if you look at where this horse has run the best, it seems like it's over the good, fast, good, firm style turf. I think that you're going to see this horse take a step forward if we do get a little less given the ground, which is something we often see here in America. Alvarado rides for Mott. That's always a good sign. That's his top jockey there at Saratoga. First time North America for Mott, 25% out of 12 starters.
Yeah.
$3.56 ROI. Not bad at all. Off the layoff, 18%. First time with a trainer, 21%. A bunch of reasons why I think this horse can be a factor. Big fields, and this is a turf course that, yes, you don't want to be way back, but we did see horses close last weekend, especially Saturday and Sunday, once we saw the paces start to heat up. I don't think Taraj is going to be close to the pace, but I do think he'll be flying late, and I think this is one of those Euros that getting a U.S. trainer is going to benefit greatly from it. So give me the number 3, Taraj, 4-1, who would be the favorite in this race if the 1 wasn't an entry. If the 1 and 1A were not a coupled entry, the 3 Taraj would be your favorite.
Yeah, I second choice for me. I agree with everything you said. I'll yes and you that the horse he was third, beaten just 1 length in the great Group 3 Derby trial, Leopardstown, May of 2024. Los Angeles is not that superstar elite city of Troy for Aidan O'Brien. He's a damn good Aidan O'Brien horse. He's Aidan O'Brien's probably his top B team star, which is better than like 90% of America's A team stars, right? So a really good horse to be right there, and just couldn't gain ground late on him. It's interesting to me too that this horse makes the U.S. debut off of a long layoff at Saratoga, when you could have tried to find a softer spot for him. You could have tried him at Delaware. You could have tried him at Laurel. You could have tried, pick a track that's got turf route racing going right now. It would have been an easier spot than Saratoga for him to come back, but he's going to do it. So I agree with you on that. Top play for me is also a horse we agreed on. It's the number 9. Then this is a horse that was in the Mott barn, left the Mott barn, went to Phil Antonacci. Only has 26 starters. He doesn't have a lot of them, but the son of Not This Time, first start for Antonacci, has Alvarado, wins by 5.5 lengths at Coldstream Park during the championship meet. It was off turf. It was on synthetic, a field of 7, and he absolutely crushed them. And he didn't have an easy trip. There was some trouble there. Out of that, tries turf again at Coldstream Park championship meet, third, beaten a half length. A late closing run there, but a really good effort. And then out of there, they went to Keeneland and third again in a field of 12. At one point, this horse was 9 lengths off the pace. He closed to be third, beaten a length and a half behind a couple of good horses, including English Channel. And out of that, they go to Saratoga with him. Again, there are places this horse could go where he's not going to be in as deep as he would be right here. And, oh, by the way, we lose Alvarado to the other Mott horse. We got Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. This is a really sneaky spot for the 9, and at 6-1, I'll take them all day.
Yeah, there was also trouble in both of those last two starts. Back had trouble with the break. The race prior to that had traffic trouble throughout the majority of it. Still ran on in both of those races. So I think the 9 makes a lot of sense here, especially at the 6-1 price when you're getting a nice rider. I'm not gonna say upgrade, but at least a positive rider switch there from Alvarado over to Irad. So I do like the 9 quite a bit. For me, second choice was actually, so the 9 was my third choice. Second choice for me was the number 5, Gilded Kraken here for Joe Sharp and Jose Ortiz, 12-1 on the morning line. Mike loves speed. I don't see a ton of it in this race, especially when you look to the inside of the 5. There's really not anyone who is going to go, which means that you're going to get an easy lead here with the 5-horse Gilded Kraken going this 1.8 mile distance over the Mellon Turf Course. And when you look to the outside, I mean, maybe it's the 10 that presses, but the 10's never touched turf, so we don't really know what the 10's going to do. After that, it would be up to the 1 Move to Gold, who I do think is going to be forwardly placed here, but he's breaking out of the 11 post. Like, I don't see a world where the 5 Gilded Kraken doesn't get the lead. And at 12-1 on a Joe Sharp horse who Jose Ortiz is going to decide to ride, who's going to be in front, yeah, sign me up. Give me the number 5 Gilded Kraken on the ticket.
He was one of the last horses that I cut off, as I thought he was interesting for all the reasons you outlined there. He's got a ton of speed, and Jose and Joe Sharp are usually a strong combo, 30% together the last year and a half, a positive ROI as well. Didn't use, but definitely not going to try to talk you off of him at 12-1. We agreed on 3 horses. So we talked about the 3. We talked about the 9. The last one we agreed on is, well, he's the outside in terms of looking at Equibase, but he's not going to be the outside because 2 Chad Brown horses are going to be outside of him. That's the 11. Better lucky than good. Dylan Davis, you were on the Dylan Davis train before I heard anybody being on this guy's train going back a few years when he would go ship to Woodbine for Chris. Whenever Dylan Davis would ship with a Clement horse,
Dylan Davis
you,
out
that
of
was
town. Yeah, Dylan Davis out of town riding a Clement. Go ahead and bet it.
He's a multiple grade 1 winner when he does that. Like, there's a reason Mike has been on this train for a while. And this horse has been he's a New York bred, but he's been very consistent, very solid on the turf. Even when he doesn't win or doesn't hit the board, he's always right there with the chance. The biggest margin of defeat he's had was 4 3/4 lengths at Saratoga last July. But he was in a 3-way photo for second place. You just had a runoff winner there. So he is a closer. He's going to need some speed. He's going to need things to collapse on him here. But I love this horse second off the layoff. He's trying open company for the first time. And it feels like an aggressive move when he's got conditions he could still fulfill for the New York breds.
Yeah, I mean, look, he could also just go and open company N1X if he wanted to. I mean, there's spots that you could go that are, and that's obviously where we're loading up here. And so I like the fact that we're jumping in here to the N1X level and going open company. I think that Kingston was surprisingly good. Like, go back and watch it. He had some trouble in that race. He had to check. He still was able to close into 12s coming home. I feels like this is just a runner that is likely to get a better trip than he did last time. I am worried that we're going to come from way off the pace. That's the one big concern here with better than lucky than good. And you are going to need to get lucky on the trip here to get Dylan Davis home. But this is a horse that doesn't mind winning. 3 for 11 in the career. Consistently shows up with a good effort. You wish you'd had a little bit of better Saratoga results because it looks like 0 for 3 with one show. But it's like, well, let's go back and let's look at these races. I mean, the race at Mile 16th on July 21st was a troubled trip where he was in traffic and stuck on the inside, finished 3rd in the next race at Saratoga, and then came back into Kingston and had a troubled trip. So you can make an argument that he actually ran well in all 3 Saratoga starts. It just wasn't enough to get him home. Now, we always talk about this. Dead closers make their own trouble. So he has a chance to get into trouble in this race, but it's 6-1, trying to fade these 2-1 horses. I feel like there are it's a horse that makes logical sense. And again, better lucky than good's probably the same price as Debt Limit if Debt Limit is not a part of an entry. And yet you're getting 5-2 on the entry and you're getting 6-1 on this horse. So yeah, give me the number 11, better lucky than good, to round out this race.
So you're 3, 5, 9, 11 here. I went 1, 3, 9, 11. I did throw the Chad Browns on here. They were the last ones I threw on. I was back and forth about trying to beat them here, but with Pratt aboard for Brown, with Manny Franco aboard for Chad Brown, they have a chance. Now, they're both going to have to improve. The 1A that Pratt's riding debuted against Maiden 50 Company. Not a good sign when it's Chad Brown. And then got the first win at Tampa Bay Downs. Okay, not a great sign, but Chad Brown always wins there. And then got the win first off a little bit of a layoff against Starter Allowance Company. This is a tougher test and didn't dominate that. Actually had the lead by a length at the top of the stretch and kind of diddied around a little bit. I don't hate the idea of, because we're both trying to beat Farbridge, possibly hitting the all button here, hoping to beat the 1A combo, and then singling in the Diana with the horse that we both really like there. So it would make things a little bit more expensive than what I did. But if you went 11 deep here, 3, 11, 2, 4. So 3 times 11 is 33 times 4, what, $134. So it's a little expensive, but this feels like a pretty wide open race, and that's a good sign, Mike, because it's an N1X allowance, open allowance at Saratoga.
Here's the funny part. Like, if I had to bet one of the two, Move to Gold or Debt Limit, I'd rather bet Move to Gold. You mentioned that the warts on Debt Limit's past performances. This is a Kalleward horse who debuted at 50. Like that they are looking for stakes horses. That tells you no one thought this was a stakes horse when this horse debuted. If Kalleward and Chad Brown are debuting a horse at Maiden 50 on the synthetic at Gulfstream, like it tells you everything you need to know about what the expectations were for this horse originally. And now you look at this, and it's like, man, it's tough to really back it. On the other side, Move to Gold did come out of the grade 3 Manila, did win with Manny Franco in a $135,000 stakes race. So like, I kind of wish this was decoupled and I could bet the 1 instead of the 1A, but that's not what we're going to get here.
This is the funny thing. You didn't even talk me off of it. I took them both off the ticket because that also moved to gold. That win broke the Maiden Stakes race. He was a 2-year-old. That was a long essay. He's a 4-year-old now. I just took the 1A off my ticket here. So
yeah, the one's coming off a year
don't
plus
like him
layoff.
enough.
Year plus layoff on the horse that I would want to bet of the entry, and it's the 5-2 favorite. And by the way, I don't disagree with the morning line. I do think the 1-1A is the favorite, and I think the 1-1A is heavily used in pick 4s and pick 5s, and that's why look, if they win, great, that's fine. I'm happy to lose in this case because it's just long term you're going to lose money playing the entry.
Race, let's see, what are we on here? Race 10. I was going to say race 3, but it's leg number 3 of the late pick 5, Saturday, July 12th at Saratoga. Race 10, 7 furlongs, and allowance option claiming of $100,000 N2X condition. These are some competitive fields when they fill them. They got 11 horses for the dirt. I almost singled, and I'm not using, I wasn't going to single either of the favorites in here. I didn't ultimately single. But where did you go on top?
Look, I thought this was a tough field too. I ended up going 3 deep. I almost went 4 deep. If you want to go 4 deep and extend the cost of my ticket, I don't hate it. I'll mention that horse last. 5 horse Scotland on top for me here. This is a Bill Mott horse that has had success here at Saratoga. I absolutely despise Baby Yoda because I never get Baby Yoda right. Feels like Scotland's kind of cut from that Baby Yoda cloth where you just get monster races from this horse. And then the last time we saw one of those monster races was at Saratoga when 7 furlongs, got a 98 buyer, career high buyer. Thought looked really good in the Cherokee Mile at Churchill last time out, winning that $248,000 stakes race. This is a horse that likes Saratoga. 2 for 3, 2 for 5 at the distance with 2 seconds as well. Is training well. Alvarado's up. Mott usually hits off the layoff. Again, he's ready for Saratoga. These are the races that he's looking for. It just feels like this is a horse that absolutely rolls. By the way, the only time he didn't win at Saratoga was in the Travers. It feels like everything's good go here for Scotland at 7-2. So that's the top pick.
Ah, God damn! I went too deep, and he was my 3rd horse, and now I'm wondering.
You took the
1-1A off the last race.
There you go. Just throw him back on.
All right, I'm gonna throw him on. I was afraid of going chalky, but if I'm trying to beat the 2 morning line favorites in the first 2 legs. All right, he's on. He's the 3rd one on. Because you're right. The one time he lost at Saratoga was the Travers, and it was Archangela who was a freak that year, and Jared's favorite horse, Tappet Trice, was 3rd in there. I mean, he's not meant to do that, but the Cherokee Mile at Churchill Downs was a really solid race, and the kicker for me was the Baby Yoda comment. Like, how is Baby Yoda setting track records as a 13-year-old?
I don't know. I never know when Baby Yoda's going to fire. And the problem is when Baby Yoda fires, you're cursing yourself for the entire final half mile because he's just gone. He's going to win by 6, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you're like, no, not now, Baby Yoda. But you also don't want to bet him because he's like half the price he should be because half the time he's just not even in contention.
There was a great, I think it was from Craig Milkowski, who does the Time Form US figures that I saw on Twitter. It was like whenever a track record's broken, there's always two people who deserve the credit, or 2 individuals: the horse and the track superintendent for making it so someone could set a track record. I was like, yeah, because when there are like 5 or 6 track records broken that day, something ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That is when you have multiple track records go down on the same day, specifically on the dirt, because that's the one the superintendent can really control the speed of. Right. You kind of know it's just a really fast track. Usually that helps speed horses too. P.S.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So he's on. So we have the same horses that we used here. My top play was the 4-horse, or sorry, not the 4-horse, the 7-horse, the Luminaire. I just tipped 2 else we're using. I went with the Luminaire as the top play here. I'm almost singing this runner. 5 starts, 3 wins, 2 absolute complete shit trips or shit results, right?
Yeah.
What's unique? There's 2 things that are unique about those 2 shit trips, because the horse, when he wins by a really good margin. I guess there's 3 things. One is the Luis Saez was aboard for the 2 losses, didn't ride to any wins. I'm not going to count that. The other 2, it was a stakes race.
That doesn't help me make my point.
I'm literally doing this. I realized that on the fly. Okay. It was stakes races. This is N1X, so it's Saratoga. But the horse did not have Lasix in the 2 stakes races. What happened in those 2 stakes races? Speed, go, 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 go. He quit out halfway through the race. What happened 3 races with Lasix? Speed, go, 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 and KF&C, the horse wins by a considerable margin. So the fact that he is on Lasix, I'm absolutely using him. I almost singled him. But if this horse comes out of this race, let's say he wins, because we both use him. Say he wins and he goes to a stakes race next, GTFO my ticket. I am not even touching you with a 10-foot pole.
This is a like I often when my old gig when I was in sales, it's like, hey, shake the box pricing. What does this cost, right? This is the shake the box effort from Luminaire. Like, am I going to get the good one? It's kind of like Baby Yoda, if we're being honest. Because if you have your magic 8-ball, you're like, hey, is the Luminaire going to run today? And it says yes. You're like, oh, single, fine, yes, because a Luminaire probably the most upside of anybody in this field. Like, if you told me one horse was going to go on and have a graded stakes win, like obviously General Partner does already, done well, not won a graded stakes yet. But if anyone from this race goes out and wins a graded stakes, it's probably a Luminaire. Now the Lasix issue, obviously one. I'm not as big of a with Lasix, without Lasix guy as you are. I think it's a very good point here. The upside for Luminaire is why he's on my ticket. It feels like if he takes a step forward, and this is a pretty aggressive place to come back at Saratoga in a race that is not going to draw light, to come back into this spot for Pletcher, I think says a lot here for Luminaire. Kind of wish Irad or Ortiz rode this horse, but I understand why he's on Concrete Glory, so that's not as big of an issue as it would have been for me. And look, 8-1. The price is right for the shake the box, right? If you're telling me 50% of the time he fires and he fires a huge effort, yeah, at 8-1, I will shake it up and see if we get that huge effort or not. So I agree with you on a Luminaire at 8-1. Other horse for me was the 4 General Partner. The fact that I didn't use the favorites in the first 2 races, which now you can say as well, makes me want to get through this race because I don't have as big of an opinion on a Luminaire. I think it is more of a 50-50 proposition on him versus a just slam dunk that he's going to run a big race. And I do think General Partner, your most seasoned horse who's in this race, I don't want to say most talented, but definitely has the back class to be able to compete with this group. 3 for 4 here at Saratoga. Pratt gets aboard. Pratt's done very well for this horse. 2 for 3 at the distance with a 3rd place in there. So it just makes sense to be using a horse like General Partner in this spot. So I'm 4, 5, 7 to try and get through this one.
Same as I am. Let's move on to the penultimate leg of the late pick 5, Saturday, July 12th at Saratoga. It's the grade 1. I'm not calling it the Duncan Diana. That's such a stupid ass name. Wait, it's the grade 1 Diana Stakes. Put some respect on the name of a race that's produced incredible filly and mare champions. Melanate on the inner turf for the older fillies and mares. All right, so we've only got 6 runners in here. We both we were talking off air before we came on. Do we single the one She Feels Pretty? Because we are both now trying to beat the favorites in the first 2 legs, we felt like we could do She Feels Pretty, clearly the best horse on paper, and maybe someone a little bit of a price. So let's forget She Feels Pretty. Just look at her form. You can understand why we're using her. Who else are you using with her?
Yeah, She Feels Pretty is awesome. She doesn't need pace to chase. She can make her own race. Like she's just a really, really cool, talented horse. Excited to see her run on Saturday. She's going to be on the ticket. I love Excellent Truth. I've chased Excellent Truth twice. I will not be chasing Excellent Truth at 5-2 here. I think the price is too short. I think Choice, a very interesting horse if it is a firm or good turf, because this is a horse that was brought to the U.S. to run on firmer turf courses. So Choice, like one of those horses where I'm like, if we catch a firm course, I think she's an interesting one. But look, when I do this style, when I go too deep, I'm saying, how do you beat She Feels Pretty? The way you beat her is you beat her gate to wire. And that's the number 6 horse, Be Your Best, who I think is a clear leader here in this race. Speed of the speed. And that is in a way put that there is no other speed in this race. I don't see any other horse that can come close to her from a forwardly placed perspective. And she's got options on how she wants to try and run this race as well. If you look at the last race in the Gamely, she just ran them off their feet. 46, 109, and 3, and just kept going. That's a possibility. She can also go a little bit slower, like she did at Aqueduct, winning the Grade 3 Long Island, where she went 49, 114 and had enough to get home. It feels like this is a race where Irad decides, do I just absolutely try and burn up this field of 6, or do I try and save the most left? And I think it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, and I think that's going to put pressure on everybody else behind to work out the trip and decide when to start pushing, because if you hit the button too late, Be Your Best is just going to run away from them in the stretch. So I can make a case that Excellent Truth is a better horse than Be Your Best. I can make a case that Choice is a better horse than Be Your Best. I can make a case that Dynamic Pricing is a better horse than Be Your Best. Be Your Best is getting the best trip of everybody in this race. And She Feels Pretty kind of covers everybody else. But Be Your Best does one thing unique that no one else does, and that's get the lead, which is incredibly dangerous. So give me the number 6, Be Your Best, with the number 1, She Feels Pretty.
Didn't like her in the Pegasus Philly Mare Turf. She beat me. Didn't like her in the Swanee River. She beat me. Didn't like her in the Grade 1 Game Lane. She beat me. I hate this horse because I've been so against her, and it's now to my own detriment because every time I'm like, no way she does. Damn it, she did it again. And you can tell off the turn. Like, they hit the quarter pole, whatever track they're at, if by that point, if she's going to win or not. And 4 of the last 5 races, she's won from that point on. I didn't use her.
Good.
This is one that scares me.
I love it. That's great news. I was worried that you're like, and now I'm using her.
No. She scares the shit out of me in this spot. I'm really hoping that the other horse I used with Be Your Best can be close enough early, or maybe she gets a flyer out of the gate and beats Be Your Best to the punch. I use Choicia. The fact that Choicia came over from Maiden, which you're running against world class. I mean, Cinderella's Dream was a great stakes winner here at Saratoga. Romantic Style is a strong horse. Like, she wasn't facing shit horses at Maiden in January and February. Out of that, Simon Christopher goes straight to Keeneland into the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley from post 2 like she's doing today, with size of board like she's doing today, and she wins. That to me was a huge sign for your first start in North America. Now she went to the Just a Game, and you talked about if we get a little bit of give but not a lot in the ground, you like Choicia. The yielding, that was Just a Game looked like a bog to her. Like, she never looked comfortable riding in it. And you mentioned earlier in the show, if when you see horses come from Europe to North America, they're usually in search, and they're not switching barnshire, but they're like targeting Grade 1 races. They're usually looking for firmer conditions. They want that a little bit more of a highway of a ground there. A little bit of a give is be good for her, like it was at Keeneland. I just couldn't. The fact that She Feels Pretty is in here, by far the best horse on paper. This is a Grade 1 winner at Keeneland, which we talk about is always the hardest meet. Saratoga Del Mar got nothing on Keeneland in the fall, Keeneland in the spring for a Grade 1 race. The best horses are all targeting that. The fact that she went there and won, even if it was by a half length, I loved that effort from her. So I put her on here. But again, I am very scared about the 6, Be Your Best.
Yeah. Look, you mentioned like She Feels Pretty is the best horse on paper. Choice has the best buyer. She's got a 101. She Feels Pretty never run a 101. Excellent Truth ran 100. That's She Feels Pretty's highest buyer. They've only run twice in the U.S. where buyers are counted. Like, so I get the argument as to why Choice is there. I would be using the 2 if I was going 3 deep. The Choice is the one that scares me. I disagree with Chris Maello here. The 6 gets the lead. The 6 gets the lead 100 times out of 100 in this race. Irad's going to send. That's just going to be the plan, considering the who else is in here. And I think Choice is happy to sit second. Again, it's a question of, do you want to sit and just really let the pace be slowed down and create a sprint here, or do you want to try and put some pressure and do the dirty work yourself? That to me is going to be the question mark there. But I respect the heck out of the 2, especially with the fact, like, look, the reason this horse went to Maiden was they wanted a faster turf course. Like, if you go back through the past performances, like, oh, where are the best races? Oh, the 106 time form on a good fast turf course. Where else were the best races? Oh, 105 on a fast synthetic, and a 100 on a fast synthetic, and a 104 that was on soft. That's the only one where it's been like a slower turf course where Choices run really well. That's why you can completely cross out the last race, and then you kind of decide, how are we going to make this happen from there? So I'm 162. I agree with you on the Choices Katie Cap side. I kind of feel like She Feels Pretty wins if Choice gets that stalking trip, and I feel like Be Your Best going gate to wire is the best chance to beat her.
As far as the 5 dynamic pricing, Chris Mel, so no one's betting the 5. If it comes up yielding, look at her 2 nice wins, including the Just a Game last out of 10-1. Yielding turf course. If there's enough moisture that it's yielding, then I think the 5 is definitely a horse that you should strongly consider and maybe take off. I would take off the 2 and add the 5, because the 2, we both outlined great points, wants a harder surface. The 5 clearly is better with a little bit of give in the ground.
Yeah, I agree. I think that last race was because of the turf. That's why you can make the argument for dynamic pricing running well at 10-1 and Choice of running poorly at 6-1. I think that if we get a firm turf, that flips. Now, dynamic pricing probably a better chance on a firm turf than Choice does on a off turf. But at the same time, I feel like dynamic pricing is just a touch short for this group. And I get that just beat a couple of these horses, but like I think Excellent Truth's a better horse than dynamic pricing, even though dynamic pricing beat Excellent Truth last time out. I think Choice is a better horse. I think the Chief Feels Pretty is a better horse. So it's hard for me to get there. And then, yeah, the Lady Claypool one, someone mentioned Baltus shipping out here is interesting. I do think it's interesting. Rosario's on the horse. Like 20-1, at least you're getting the right price to bet a Joel Rosario horse. But it's hard for me to believe that you're going to outride literally 5 of the best 6 other jockeys that are at the Saratoga meet with a dead closer on a horse that's never touched New York turf.
Also, by the way, think this is me reading the tea leaves on the connections. Look at the racing schedule, the stake schedule at Del Mar, where Richard Baltus is based. Find me
the surf.
But find me a turf race that she's eligible for, a graded stakes race. You've got to go to the early middle of August to find a spot where she fits. She probably needs to keep running right now. There's nowhere for her to run on the West Coast, so she's out here. That's why I think she's here. She was nowhere close to be your best last time out, so even though she was second, no interest for me. I think this is just the fact that the calendar at Del Mar or in California racing in general, there's a month where there's no turf racing. That's why she's out here.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you got to find a spot. And this feels like a logical spot if you're coming out of the Gamely. Why not take a shot here at another grade 1? I just don't know if she's a grade 1 horse either. Like, let's just be honest here. I mean, won a grade 3 horse, but was stuck in that N1X and 2X allowance conditions for a very long time. Got the grade 3 win over Miss Astor, who I like very much, but just was clearly a cut below in the Gamely. Like, never was going to be your best. And so I'm not sure she's really one of those horses that's a grade 1 type horse.
JD says 2 great turf spots in July at Woodbine Ford. It's a shame. Listen, Baltus just got let back to racing in California. I don't think Canada's quite ready for the Baltus train to be back. Race 12, the last leg of the payout leg of the Late Pick 5 Saturday, Saratoga, July 12th. We're going back to the outer turf course here. Maiden special weight, 5.5 furlongs, $100,000 purse. Another great betting opportunity. And we've had lots of agreement throughout the show. Here's where we disagree. Where are you going on top?
Almost singled in this race. Just to be able to create a little value in the others. Almost singled here. Would have singled Katie Davis, something you don't hear me say very often. The number 9 Gellhorn here, top pick at 6-1. I bet you did not have that on your bingo card. Me saying I almost singled Katie Davis.
I'm sitting here looking. I know what 2 horses you use, and I'm like, he had to go with the. There's no way he was going to single Katie Davis. And as you're saying up, I was like, oh my God, he almost singled Katie Davis in a Saratoga maiden special weight. Okay, go ahead.
One of my favorite horses running all day. 6-1. Guess what? I'm gonna get every bit of that because of Magic's reaction to Katie Davis riding this horse. Gellhorn, number 9. Danny Gargan wanted to debut this horse on turf, was not able to. This is a daughter of Volatile. Volatile has been a phenomenal sire. Stands for 12,500. This one sold for $250,000. So there was a ton of talent in the morning. We saw that in the works that we saw leading up to that race at Backwood, where we saw a bullet in back-to-back workouts at Saratoga, going 4 furlongs and 3 furlongs. We saw some of the speed, but not all of it in that first race. Was wide on the turn, had a little trouble, had some bumping around the 3/16 pole. Still ended up running second, lost by just 3/4 of a length to Upon a Start. Practical Love ran third. That horse came back and won. Instead of going to the dirt off that 72 buyer, you know what we did, Magic? We went right back to the turf. And you know what else we did? We put the blinkers on. Why does that matter? Well, first off, it tells you they fully believe this is a much better turf horse than dirt horse, because that race on the dirt is good enough to win a lot of maiden special weights, even here at Saratoga. Yep. Gargan's 35% in his second start with a $3.68 ROI. Adding blinkers, he's 25% with a $2.80 ROI. This horse's Tomlinson on the turf is a 409 for this distance. Like, everything screams that this should be a turf sprinter. Now you're adding blinkers to put more speed in. You already know this horse can pass horses. It was a huge purchase price. Katie Davis rode it the first time and almost won. I almost singled the 9 Gellhorn here at 6-1.
So let me backtrack real quick. I do genuinely like Katie Davis in here. My reaction was not based off of her. It's the fact that you never single a horse that she's been on before. It's not like a jockey like, I'm going to single Irad, I'm going to single Jose, single Pratt or Saez or whatever. It's an interesting runner. The Dam was a really good turf miler. She was a decent turf miler. And if you look at the works for this horse, she was training at Saratoga last summer on the turf course, got to the end of September, middle of September, and then something went amiss because she was training very consistently. She doesn't come back until April at the Gulfstream training facility, the satellite facility, Palm Meadows, training on the turf. She's been training consistently since the beginning of May, trying to work towards a spot. And based off the works, it looks like turf is what she wants. The Dam says maybe a little longer, but you've got a superstar sprinter as the sire. There's a lot of things to like. So I don't want to make it sound like I hate Katie Davis. By the way, check out the Netflix documentary that was about horse racing, where they had a whole episode on Katie Davis and all the
Race for the Crown
to go through as a female jockey. It's incredible. Watch that one. But I just couldn't pull the trigger because I think this is a horse. If you combine the post with the Dam's breeding, I think that 5.5 furlongs might be a touch too short. And when you see her go 2 sprints to a mile, that's when I want to play Gellhorn, especially if Katie Davis is riding.
I get it. The fact that you sprinted with this horse, you wanted turf, you didn't get it. Now you're getting back to turf and adding blinkers. You're showing speed, and this horse is going to go. And the 9 post is a great spot to be able to. And like on the Saratoga turf course, yes, you want to be toward the inside. If you don't make the lead from the 9, you're probably too wide in this spot. You're probably sitting just outside the speed with that beautiful stalking trip that you kind of like going turf sprinting. And I don't think this is a world beater field. I get it. You've got My Divine Spirit, who's there for Chad Brown, first-time starter, who is your favorite or his second choice at 7-2. She wants War for Warden Velasquez. I understand why these horses are shorter prices. But look, She Wants War has run twice, missed both times. I don't really want to take a short price on that horse trying to do it again. And I think this 9 sits right outside of that speed and has first run. And I'll take a shot at the price here at 6-1. I think the 9 is going to be ultra live in this spot. And again, you're going to get over 6-1 or at least 6-1 on this horse as well, because this is going to be your ignored horse on the board. And if it's not ignored, this horse is winning by open lengths. That's the other part. Like if this horse goes off at 3-1, just Brinks truck on Gellhorn, because the shorter the price, the better this horse is going to run most likely.
Fully agree on that. Top pick for me is going to be the 6 Girls Rock, a horse that made 2 starts on dirt to start the 3-0 campaign and then switched over to the turf and turned into a new horse. Well, she's a daughter of granddaughter of the Factor on the Dam side, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, a pretty good angle there. You get an Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard for the first time for Whit Beckman. I always love to play Whit Beckman horses. He and Will Walden, they're 2 trainers that I think they're young, but they're talented, and they routinely get ignored odds-wise. The first race at Churchill Downs, you got Frankie Dettorian. She broke sharp, went to the lead, a decent second behind a next out winner. But the next race at Churchill Downs, she came from off the pace, and now you've got Irad on, who can't go to the lead, but I feel like Irad has this thing in him, it's like alpha instinct, where he wants to prove he's the best jockey, where he'll pull a horse back just to show you that he can beat you, like by passing it. Like winning on the front end without passing anybody is boring to him. This is totally just a guess. But you give him a horse he can pull back and zoom by you with. It's like he's waving his dick at you as he goes by. He can't wave his dick at you if he's already on the front end. So I think this is a horse that fits his running style. She's had 2 turf sprints that have both been very good efforts, and now it has a good draw right in the middle of the field. She can sit off of the pace in a very close position, and I think with Irad, that kind of seals the deal.
It's the crop magic. It's not called a dick. It's the crop that they wave and then hit the horse.
Listen, Irad's is big enough. It looks like a crop. That ain't no crop.
No comment. No comment there. Look, a logical horse again. Another one was kind of had the right trip twice and didn't get it done either time. You could say last time out, like had a little bit of trouble in that last race, but it feels like the 3 and the 6 or 4 and 6 are kind of the same horse. And the 4's got the rail and the 6 doesn't. So I would almost rather go to the 4 if I was going to go for the 2. But I mean, I wouldn't talk you off that one. I agree with you on Wick Beckman as well. Like that's someone that I'm going to be interested in playing, because another like Irad's riding, so you won't get the better price. But like Beckman usually is a trainer that's not going to get overbet at Saratoga. Other horse for me, only going too deep here. Give me the rail, the number 1 horse, Regathon, right? Regalton. Wow. Yeah, I put an R in there like twice. Regalton, other horse for me here. This is second time out for this horse. I thought that first race was a very good one on the synthetic. Broke from all the way on the outside, showed tactical speed, ended up losing to a next out winner in that spot. Now you're switching over to the turf for George Weaver, who is very good with these younger horses on the turf course. You get Sias aboard, which means that you're probably not going to get yourself in too much trouble. And this is one of those horses that could just trip out. I don't think Regalton is fast enough to get to the lead, but I do think Regalton is fast enough to sit right behind the first flight on the rail and be able to then decide, do I go inside? Do I go outside? Where do I want to go for a stretch run? And I think this 5.5 furlong is also beneficial. We saw a big kick closing into that 5 furlong Gulfstream synthetic race. I think the 5.5 helps this horse try and get home. So 1 and 9 for me. I will say this: I considered the 2 as well. And Chris Mael here coming in and saying I like the 2-9. I thought about the 2, ended up not using it, but that was one that was in consideration for me.
Also, I don't know if you did. I got the Whistleton, the reference from Frozen.
I was gonna say Frozen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I picked that up. That was a good joke there. Listen, I like the 2 better than the 1, not just because of the price. The 2 was third on the dirt at Gulfstream Park for a good barn, was bet more than the 1. That was the championship meet. The 1 was not, actually, no, they were both outside the championship meet. I'm sorry. But the 1 definitely like second in a championship meet level, or non-championship meet race on the synthetic. I worry about you coming to Saratoga. If you go somewhere else with that, I'm more interested. I'm just worried about the fact that both the 1 and the 2 were facing horses that were not of the championship meet caliber.
I think it's fair. I would rather take Weaver over Clement, though, when making that decision, because Weaver can go other places. Miguel Clement probably just going to be running his horses at Saratoga right now. Weaver can will run horses in other racetracks even while Saratoga's going on. And so the fact that Weaver decided to bring this one up and save it till Saratoga to sprint on the turf, I think is a positive sign.
I'll go real quick because I know we're a little over time here. I went 4 deep, so I talked about my top play in here being Girls Rock. I did put my Divine Spirit on Chad Brown. I saw somebody say, or is it Chris Mel? I actually tried to beat Chad Brown turf sprinters. He's 24% with turf sprints. I know we think of Chad Brown as like the longer distance turf trainer, but he's 23% on the year and he's 24% with turf sprints. So it's not like he can't get them home. I think the big question is you're towards the inside in a big field in a turf sprint race. There is very little room for error. But as far as baited breath horses in the U.S., they win at 21% in turf sprint races. So the breeding's there. It's just a matter of will the horse be good enough. But also, I didn't just go too deep in here.
Not one of his main ownership groups either, right? If it's one of the big ownership groups for Chad Brown, I'm more hesitant to play turf sprinting. This is a horse where the ownership group isn't a dominant one, or at least you don't see that name with Chad Brown all that often, which makes me a little more concerned about this horse running well than I normally would be.
He's had some. I'm trying to think of who Goikman's had. He's definitely not of the
Kalleward, even like the what is it, the Avengers or whatever. Like this isn't one of those ownership groups that sends high price horses to Chad Brown every day, all day. It's more of a niche ownership.
Yeah, that's very true. The other 2 horses that I use, I'll talk about real quick. I went with the 4 was the last horse for me in this race. She Wants War. It's Wesley Ward in a turf sprint race, and he's getting Johnny V for the first time.
Yeah,
that can just be an angle. And then as far as the 10 horse Panache, it's Sherry DeVoe with Jose Ortiz. I'm guessing it's the 10 post that made you worried about this horse, because this horse almost broke the maiden with Rosario aboard at 14-1, and you shit all over Rosario before. So now that it's Jose Ortiz getting back on for DeVoe, I was very interested in the post. It might be a concern, but you're getting 8-1.
Yeah, the post in this trip, like this is a horse that's never really showed a kick to win and can't make the lead. So when we're going to the 4th effort at 8-1, I don't mind it, right? But we're going to the 4th effort on the turf, the 3rd effort turf sprinting, the 5th effort overall, and I haven't seen the ability of this horse to be able to really break through In the Rosario race was the race where we got the highest buyer. That ended up being a 71. Well, the 9 to the inside ran a 72 in her first start. Like you got to improve quite a bit here if you're the 10 to win this race. So I love DeVoe, love Ortiz. 8 to 1's too short.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us, talking about opening day of the official Saratoga meet on Saturday. Best of luck if you're playing that one. We'll go through our tickets one last time for the podcast listeners. I'll start off. I'm going to go 268 with 139 with 457 with 12 with 34 610. Is that $72? 9 times 4, 36. No, it's $108. I knew that was wrong. I forgot to update that when I did. It's $108 the ticket for me, so a little expensive. But if I can beat the favorite in the first 2 legs, what we're both trying to do here, Mike, this is going to pay pretty well.
Yeah, well, I mean that's. Oh, you didn't update your ticket. Can't scroll it on the bottom. Oh, no, you did. You're good, right?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna play a little cheaper ticket. Give me a $72 ticket here, and yes, I'm trying to beat 2 early favorites. If we can get around those 2 early favorites, I think this thing pays. I'm also taking shots in the last leg, so if I get this home, I'm probably, even with She Feels Pretty, we're probably talking $2,000 plus here with the order that we've got. So here we go: 246 with 35911 with 457 with 16 with 19. 50 cents costs $72.
Real quick before we get out of here, Shadi, I didn't miss your comment, just saving it for the end. What are your thoughts on Uma Musume Pretty Derby game, bringing attention to Japanese racing and racing in general now that it's released in the U.S.? I will admit I was today years old when I heard about that game.
I've not played it, so I don't know yet. But I do like horse racing games, although they've never really been able to do a good one. The best.
Wait, this is the one where, okay, I've heard about this. It's horse racing, but instead of horses, they're anime girls. Anime girls, I'm not going to kink shame. I've never seen the appeal in anime girls in any way, shape, or form. Just not my style. If that is your style and you like horse racing, I think this is a perfect combination of the two.
Yeah, I don't really care when it comes to a racing game as long as it's fun. Like I don't care what's racing. It could be turtles, it could be dragons, it could be anime girls, it could be horses, whatever. But I've never played it, so I can't talk about it. Honestly, probably won't play it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I'm trying to actively cut back on any video games I cannot play with my daughter. Probably not playing that one with my daughter. So.
Oh. I started playing Skyrim about a month ago. Got it for my birthday. And that's a great game. Definitely not one to play with your kids. It's swords and sorcery, but yeah. Curtis Manlow says dating horse girls is bad enough. Curtis Manlow, happy to see you in the chat. Also very happy that you weren't here for the live show last week. 2 weeks ago. Last week, July 4th. Because there were a lot of comments that were made, and I was like, if Curtis Manlow was here, this would be a show that I think would get us kicked off of YouTube.
It's possible. I mean, when we eventually get kicked off YouTube, it's probably going to be because, at least in part, Curtis Manlow. Who's in the circle now? Is that Daniel Jones? Who is that?
Daniel Jones. Let's see. Indianapolis Colts.
I mean, he's number 10, I think. I think he's
8
right
jersey is not even showing up as anything.
Well,
Deion Kane.
Going to images. Is that? I don't even know. Might be their kicker. Rigoberto Sanchez is possible.
Jason
as well.
Bean.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel Jones.
It is. Okay. All right. There you go. Right. The more you know.
Daniel Jones. See the 8
right.
over there? Oh, he is the 8. Okay. I didn't realize he was also the 8, the Ocho.
There you go.
The 4's number isn't that. That makes sense. Okay.
Learn something new.
I didn't think he was the 8. All right. Before we get out of here, I will be off
Papa
Saturday.
Likely could get Racing Dudes canceled first. That is totally possible.
He just treads the line. It also helps that he's an old guy like that. We're gonna stay on longer because of the fact that he's an old guy. Older. Sorry, Papa didn't call you old.
Totally did.
I'll be back on FanDuel TV 3 p.m. Pacific on Sunday. I'm off today and tomorrow. How can we watch you on the VSiN network? I'll
be on tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 Pacific, both Saturday and Sunday there. You can catch it on YouTube TV. You can catch it on Roku TV or channel 158 on SiriusXM. Aaron Haltman and I also. If you're sick of Magic already on his return tour, You can catch VEASAN at the Track, a new podcast that launched on Apple and Spotify there. So VEASAN at the Track, new podcast with Halterman and I, talking about horse racing news and then covering the biggest stakes every single weekend. So we talked a lot about Saratoga, track trends, jockeys, trainers, and then 2 of the 5 races we covered in this sequence as well. So make sure you check that out. Includes best bets of the weekend from us too. So VEASAN at the Track, Apple and Spotify podcasts.
If there's ever a weekend to be in Vegas, Curtis Manley's going to be
man.
there for next week for his bachelor party. Oh boy, that would be like if I went with a bunch of my fraternity brothers when we were all 20. Like that's what that sounds like.
I mean, I don't think you were here for this. I went to a bachelor party in Los Angeles, so it was all of like
I'm sorry, a what now?
Bachelor party. So dude is having a kid but didn't have a bachelor party. So because he got married kind of on the whim in Italy, and so we never got to give him a bachelor party. So now that his wife is like 6 months pregnant, we had a bachelor party to kind of make up for it. So we did an all-day day in LA. I went to bed at 4:30 in the morning. I have not gone to bed at 4:30 in the morning in a long time, Magic. So it was fun.
Wow.
Good time. I went to a
bachelor party.
I went to a place called Kitty Kitty Boom Boom, which had roller skating.
Strip club?
No, not a strip club. No, it's a dance club in Los Angeles, which had roller skating. I don't want to use the word psychedelics. It implies something else was happening, which wasn't. But it was crazy. It was a lot of fun. Roller skating disco party. We'll put it that way.
Well, we'll leave you on this note, Curtis Manlow. Hydrate. July bachelor parties in Las Vegas are rough. JD speaking from experience. JD can also tell you from experience, if there's a giant piece of metal sticking out of the concrete, don't trip over it and do a header on the concrete because that hurts. You can ask JD more about that later. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb at 18, number 1, number 8. We're happy as always to have you joining us, and we will see you again next week. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Best of luck this week. Wait, why is it not working? I was trying to do the outro, and it's not. I don't like that everything changed down here. I'm going to bitch about this until I can figure out how to do it. I'm supposed to just be able to. Oh, wait. I figured it out. I got it. Bye.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.